All right, this video is for you guys in Miss White's former classes. I told you, or at least I left a message that I would have a video available for you. Now let me explain how this works. Number one, for obvious reasons, I'm not able to be in your class every day. So while you're reading Macbeth, what I will be doing is, it won't be many, but I will do at least a couple more videos like this where I'm explaining to you things that are going on in the plot that maybe you did not understand on your own. What you need to do when watching these videos, and you will watch these videos on your own time, it may be when you're at home, you may possibly be watching on your phones or something else. It gives you the flexibility to be able to watch whenever you have the time, hopefully, that you're able to stop, rewind the video, back it up if there's something you need to hear. And that's important because you need to take notes. Not just listen to my explanation, but you need to take notes so that when you do have a quiz or a test or have to write about this, that you have something to be able to refer to besides having just listened to or watched this video. Now in this first video, we're looking at Acts 1 and 2. So you should have read Acts 1 and 2. That's very important because this video is going to make much more sense to you if you have actually read the text as you've been assigned. But we listened to a good part of Act 1 when we were in the computer lab, and we saw there that the play began with the three witches. Now you have short answer study questions. I'm not going to answer all the questions, but I am going to touch on some of those questions. And the first question says, what is the point of the first scene, literally in reference to the whole play? Well, the first scene is just the three witches, but they reference that they are going to meet Macbeth. As we said in class, that suggests that Macbeth is either going to be affected by things that are evil or at least supernatural, and that these things are maybe about to affect his life, or at the very least that they're going to intervene in his life. And that's important because that sets the stage. Keep in mind that this play was meant to be performed in Shakespeare's time. So that meant they were trying to get the audience's attention. It's a hook just like we might have today. The presence of the witches mentioning Macbeth suggested, okay, there are going to be some other forces at work in this story. Once we see Macbeth and Banquo, and the witches tell Macbeth, "Hail Macbeth, Thane of Glamis, hail Macbeth, Thane of Cawdor, hail Macbeth, King hereafter." Then Macbeth at first is going, okay, those things sound nice, and they kind of bother him because as we've already said, Macbeth's fatal flaw, or his tragic flaw, is ambition. And although he is a war hero returning from a great battle against the Norwegians, he has battled against insurmountable odds. He has been very loyal to the king. There's no reason not to trust him. But the moment there's a suggestion that he might become something more than what he is now, it does get Macbeth to thinking about it. Banquo, on the other hand, is what is called a foil. He is a character that has a close relationship to the protagonist, Macbeth. He is probably his best friend, but he reacts much differently. He says, yes, I'd like to know what my fortune is, but it's not something that's going to affect me. And then he's a bit strange. A moment later, when Ross and Angus come up and tell Macbeth that he is now Thane of Cawdor because the Thane of Cawdor was a traitor, then as Macbeth, these things begin to roll around in his mind, Banquo really probably has never considered that any of these prophecies will come true, so they don't affect him in the same way. Now here's where we left off. After this scene, Macbeth goes back, and then Macbeth and Banquo are going to be with King Duncan. And it says, one of the questions is, what does Duncan call Macbeth when he hears Macbeth has defeated MacDonald? This was a little bit earlier. He calls him worthy cousin, which is ironic because, as we already know, Macbeth is going to be the one who's going to ultimately lead to the ultimate betrayal of King Duncan. But now, after he meets with him and King Duncan tells him, Macbeth, you now have the Thane of Cawdor's wealth, you have all of his stuff, but he makes another very important announcement. He says that his son, Malcolm, is hereafter known as the Prince of Cumberland. That means that he is naming him as heir to the throne. Here's a contrast. Macbeth has been loyal. So far, all he has are the witch's prophecies, and he knows he's Thane of Carter. But in an aside, Macbeth already displays the ambition that is going to be his downfall, because he turns to the side and says, Prince of Cumberland, that's somebody that either I have to step over or I'm going to have to eliminate. He says, otherwise, I'll never be king. Now imagine that. This is a guy who had no thoughts of being king not long ago, suddenly is saying, I may have to do something to be king. Now, if you contrast that with Lady Macbeth, she's a very interesting character. Lady Macbeth receives a letter from her husband that tells about the witch's prophecies. She immediately says that Macbeth is not mean enough. He's not bad enough to do the things that are necessary to become king. She says if he wants to become king, he's got to kill somebody. And she says this is a famous phrase. He is too full of the milk of human kindness to do these kinds of things. He's too good of a guy. He's too loyal to King Duncan. And Lady Macbeth, right off the bat, this is the first time we see her, says he's not evil enough to do it. I'm going to have to help him out. Back to the theme that we talked about, fair is foul, foul is fair. Good is bad, bad is good. That a person is capable of being either one. So what we get is a reverse roles. Macbeth, the war hero, at various times is thinking, look, if I'm going to be king, I'll become king without having to actually do anything. Maybe it was never meant to do so. Then a moment later, he's thinking, well, maybe if I'm going to be king, I have to do this. So he's very confused. But he's the war hero. Lady Macbeth, the female, is the one who immediately says, if he's going to be king, he's going to have to do some dirty stuff, and I'm going to make sure that he does. So when Macbeth gets home and meets up with Lady Macbeth, the first thing he says really is no, not going to do it. There's no reason to be concerned about it. Even though King Duncan is coming to visit them and he says, no, we're going to be great hosts, there's nothing to do. And Lady Macbeth basically begins to challenge his manhood. She says, so that's it? You got a chance to be king. The witcher said you're going to be king and you're not going to do anything about it. And she eventually challenges to the point of Macbeth finally agreeing, okay, we'll do whatever we have to do. With King Duncan coming over to stay in their house, then now Lady Macbeth, this is a big contrast. Lady Macbeth is the one who comes up with the plan, not Macbeth. Macbeth has pretty much said, hey, leave it alone. Lady Macbeth says, hey, we're going to get the man once he's full of food and he's drunk, then we're going to go kill him in his sleep. So now we get into Act 2. And now here's where some things are going to change. Banquo asked Macbeth if he's thought about what the witcher said, and Macbeth goes, no, hadn't thought about that at all. Knowing that he and Lady Macbeth have a plan to kill King Duncan. Here's where role reversals begin to happen over and over again. We've already seen one where the war hero Macbeth comes in and says, look, we're not even going to talk about this. We're not going to do this anymore. Lady Macbeth says, yes, we are. Are you a man? You're a coward? Are you going to look back in life later and say, I could have been king, but I was too scared to do it? And so then she says, fine, I'll go in and kill the man. After he eats, we're going to get him full of drink. I'm going to put some poison, or at least going to put some kind of drugs in the drink of him and his guards. So his guards will be knocked out. He'll be knocked out. The plan is I'm going to go in and stab him, and then we take the daggers and we lay them on the two guards who are also knocked out, so that when they wake up or when people come in and find Duncan dead, they'll find the guards and think that they did it. Okay, this is interesting. Macbeth says, hey, not going to do it. Lady Macbeth says, fine, I'll go in and do it myself. Then we get a shift. Lady Macbeth comes out, and one of the questions is, what is her excuse for not killing Duncan herself? She says she went in the room but he looked too much like her father. Now, here's something that you need to know. Lady Macbeth had said earlier that she was concerned. She pretty much issued up a prayer saying this is where to take away her womanly qualities. This is the Unsex Me soliloquy by Lady Macbeth, where she says, take away the things that as a woman would make it less likely that I would ever be able to do something like this. In other words, she says, as a woman, I would normally have compassion, that I'm not used to violence and bloodshed. She says, so take those away so I'm able to do so. And for the most part, she's been really talking a good game that she's going to be able to do it. But the moment she sees King Duncan, she says, no, he looked too much like my father. That's why I couldn't do it. She really just chickens out. So now she goes back, that everybody's drunk and drugged. She goes back to Macbeth and says, I couldn't do it. So guess what? Macbeth goes in to kill Duncan. But then he goes in to kill Duncan and makes a mistake. Because remember, they were supposed to pin it on the two guards. But Macbeth goes in, stabs Duncan, and then, whether it's real or imaginary, when he looks at the two guards, he thinks they're starting to wake up while he's still in the room. So he kills the two guards. Now they have a problem. Who are they going to blame it on? They were going to blame it on the two guards, but now the two guards are dead. So Macbeth, though, panics, runs out, and leaves the daggers lying there on the guards. That means it's obvious somebody else did it. When he gets back and tells Lady Macbeth, she says, hey, go back in there and get the daggers. Macbeth now chickens out again. Think about it. This is a guy who just killed 3 people who says, I'm not going back in the room. I can't take it. I refuse to go back in there. So now Lady Macbeth, who had prayed that she would be unsexed, that she would not have, that as a woman she would be able to deal with it, but she chickened out because King Duncan looked too much like her father, says, well, I've got to go back in. And she goes back in to get the daggers, and that will eventually be a critical point in the story, that she has to go in and actually touch the daggers herself. If she had never done so, if she had never seen the scene, if she had never had to have any actual part in it, then maybe Lady Macbeth does not do the things that she does later on. But Lady Macbeth does have a part in it. And that changes everything. So now Macbeth is really kind of tripping out. Macbeth is hearing voices already in his head. Macbeth have murdered sleep. Okay? I want you to think about symbolism and personification. That he says, I murdered sleep. Personification in that you were able to murder something that is not really a living thing, but that's because sleep is a universal symbol of what? Yes, death. Sleep is a universal symbol of death. And so Macbeth says, I murdered sleep. In other words, not only have I killed King Duncan, but also I will never ever be able to sleep again, because my conscience is always going to be about bothering me. Okay? Lady Macbeth says something important. This was question number 5 under the Act 2 Steady Guy Questions. When Macbeth is worried about hearing a voice saying Macbeth does murder sleep, what does Lady Macbeth tell him to do? She tells him to get some water and wash this filthy witness from his hands. In other words, just go clean your hands and you're going to be done. Much easier said than done. So now in the rest of scene 2, or rest of Act 2, what you get is Macduff discovers Duncan's body. They yell that Duncan has been killed, and Macbeth immediately begins taking charge. He runs in. Hey, let's look around. What's going on here? This happened in my house. Well, it looks like the 2 guards did it, but the 2 guards are dead. And so Macbeth says, yes, I killed them because I came in and found that Duncan had been killed, and in a rage, I killed the 2 guards. What's interesting is that Macduff doesn't really believe him. Hold on to that thought, because that's going to be very important later on in the story. And one of the last important things to happen, well, 2 important things happening in scene 2. The sons of King Duncan, Malcolm and Donalbain, are there. They slip over to the side. where all the chaos is going on, everybody's running around. And Malcolm says, whoever killed our father is probably going to try to kill us. So they decide to get away right away. They're going to get out of Scotland. I believe Malcolm goes to England, and Donalbain is going to go over to Ireland. They're going to go over to relatives there and get away until they can kind of reorganize. So that's important, because what happens when, in this case, they're trying to figure out, why would the servants have done this? Why would the guards have killed King Duncan? Well, wait a minute. The two sons just left. Why'd they leave? Why'd they run off? It gives them a sense of what? Guilt. Macbeth is able to paint that Malcolm and Donalbain must have been behind it. Why else would they have taken off running? Of course, think about that. That's what he said. Why else would they have run? If they were not guilty, they would have stayed here, right? And so he's able to do that. And because he's the war hero, he just was awarded Thane of Carter. Malcolm and Donalbain have left, and Macbeth is really taking charge, and so he is named to be the next king. Ross says he's going to go to his coronation as king, but Macduff says, you know what? Something about this doesn't just sound right. Something's wrong. So I think I'll skip this and head back to my own house for a while. All right? So now that is through Act 2. Here's just a couple of things you need to take from it. Again, fair is foul, foul is fair. And what you're going to look at increasingly, we already saw that Macbeth was very conflicted about what he needed to do. At one moment, he'd be thinking about his ambition and thinking about being king, but then at another moment, he would become loyal again and say, no, I can't do this. King Duncan, trust me. Then Lady Macbeth gets involved. She's like, are you a coward? What are you going to do? So Macbeth now has to defend his manhood. Then he backs out again. Role reversal. Lady Macbeth says, I'll go in and kill, but then she really can't do it. So Macbeth goes in and does so, but then he can't clean up the scene after he messes up. Lady Macbeth has to go in. Fair is foul. Foul is fair. Things are not what they appear. People are not what they appear. Those who should be good are bad. Those who should be bad are good. Okay, that is what we have going on in the play so far. Now, you're going to pick up this video you'll watch at home. In class, hopefully you'll be able to listen to Act 3. We're going to move right on into that, and then we're going to continue making progress through Macbeth. You just need to be prepared. All the information that is contained in this video and in the study guide is information you need to be prepared to be able to respond to on a test. Okay? We will continue this another time.